Hey everybody, it's Jimmy here from Explore the Force, and we are here to talk about Reign of Empire, Book One, The Mask of Fear by Alexander Freed. And I brought my two favorite book people on the show. We got Commander Taylor. Taylor, how are you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing good.
Good, good, good.
Yeah, coming off a little bit like I don't know, depressed off this book, but we're good besides that.
All right, yeah. Johnny, how are you doing? Starbird Files himself, Johnny O.
I'm doing good, thanks. Yeah, it's good to be back.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to both of you guys for joining me. It's been a while, but I feel like this is how it should be whenever we're reviewing books. It just seems natural and seems right. Um, but like I said, we're here today to kind of dive into the Reign of Empire series. The first book, Mask of Fear, by Alexander Freed. This was published in February 25th, 2025. Um, and Alexander, he also wrote the Alphabet Squadron, correct?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So, and I'll be honest, that may be why I didn't pay any attention to this first book, and we'll get into that. I I listened to the first book in the Alphabet Squadron. I don't even know if I finished it, to be honest. Um,
Mm.
but I don't. Johnny, you probably crushed them. Did you read all three of those?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I loved Alphabet
You,
Squadron.
you loved them. All right. Well, I'm
Mainly
at.
for the characters. Mainly for the characters. I thought, the characters that he created in that, and the little group were really
Yeah.
awesome. I didn't agree with all the story choices he made, mainly in the sense that he kind of kept them apart a lot in the second and third book.
All
I
right.
wish they'd been more together, spent more time together, kind of thing. But other than that, I really liked it. Yeah.
All right. I might have to give that another shot then once I get some downtime after the High Republic closes. Taylor, did you read the Alphabet Squadron?
No, I didn't actually, and that's probably why this book is so different for me because the writing is so different.
It is. Yeah, it's definitely. I've been struggling with that. I don't know about you two. Going from all the High Republic stuff and then trying to read like Mace Windu, and then trying to, it's really different than. It's crazy how much those authors or the High Republic kind of like, all kind of just do it the same but do it differently. Like this the I don't know, the story, the tone, things like that. But um, yeah, so we'll dive into these books, and again, folks, you check those out. I'm going to give it another shot. If Johnny O liked it that much, then I need to give it another opportunity. Um, got a quote here from Alexander. It says, "I'm enormously excited to be part of this project and explore an era of Star Wars, especially rich with nuanced stories of ordinary citizens, people living inside the machinery of the Empire, still figure out what's happening to their government and the violent disagreement over ideas of democracy, resistance, revolution, and complicity." And man, I wonder if he's American or not. So, but that's a little quote from Alexander Free. So we'll talk a little bit here, spoiler free, and then we'll dive into spoilers. But um, Johnny, I'm going to start with you. When you heard about the series, were your expectations, like when you heard about the Reign of Empire and what it was going to cover, what were your thoughts? Like, what were you excited for it? Like, I mean, was this like, oh yeah, they're just filling in the gaps, it's going to be fluff, or how did you feel about it?
Um, I was pretty excited for it, for the trilogy as a whole. I wasn't sure what to think with the trilogy being written by three different authors, but then, with the High Republic, we've seen how that can work, and it works pretty well when you've got all these different authors working together. Um, I liked the idea of the um, time frame, and that it would be centered around, Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and Saw Gerrera, who are all kind of characters that we know, but we've not really dived deeply into their characters and their history and the way they think. Obviously, we've had a bit more of Mon Mothma in Andor recently, but
Mm.
aside from that, I think they're all characters that are fairly fresh and open to have a look at in terms of focusing on them in terms of books and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Taylor? How are you? Like, I know you're always kind of right there at the edge of all the books and stuff like that are coming out. When you heard this, because I mean, somehow this one got by me, but I get in my focus, I get in my areas, and you know, uh, and so, what did you think about the book?
This isn't actually a book that I had been like that I found out about and was like waiting for months for, like I do with the High Republic books and even the Mace Windu book. I was waiting for months for that book to come out. But this one, I think I heard about it a couple days before just because so many people were talking about how they were super excited for it. And I saw, like, if you zoom in or you, like, look really closely at the cover, it's Mon Mothma right on the front, and she's at the Senate, and that is just that. I love that. Like, I really loved Bloodline with Leia and like her going in and out of the Senate and dealing with all of this, all these politics, and I really liked all of the like the Padme books, like there's three of them, and then there's like a young Leia book, and I really liked all of those because it's all to do with the Senate and all of that, like that side of Star Wars that we don't see in the movies because up until Andor we haven't had that stuff, right? It's all action, action, and we all love action. But I was really excited because this is kind of the book that I like to get into, and I thought I knew Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, but I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, we'll
But
talk
you
about that.
always,
That's crazy.
yeah, like you, like obviously you know of them, and we've seen little bits of them here and there, and you have this idea of that they're so amazing. But like this book really opened up my eyes to seeing that they're just real people trying, like suffering through every day, trying to make
Yeah,
it to the next day. So
def- yeah, I would
it's
agree with
definitely
you.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I'm thankful that you mentioned it to me. Because I think you're like, are you reading it yet? And you're like, I'm hooked. And I'm like, well, I better get on it then. And I think I started listening to it right away. But without any spoilers, what's like your overall impression? And you can talk about the story without giving spoilers. What's your overall impression with the story? Like, how did you feel about? Did it go where you thought it was going to go? Like when you open this up and you read, you read the thing and it's right after Order 66. I mean, I don't know how is it a couple weeks? Is it it's not long after it seems like the end of the war.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I
did
think
this?
it's like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's
That's it.
quick,
Yeah.
right? I mean, everyone's like shaking. Was this the story you thought you were going to get? Like, I mean, if you weren't anticipating it, may not have had the expectations, but if you were anticipating it, like, you kind of built up in your mind, was this the story you thought we were going to get, Taylor?
No, it really wasn't. I didn't think it was just gonna be like Mon Mothma sneaking around in the background. I thought it was gonna be like this is directly what happened with the Emperor right after, and I thought that we were maybe gonna get a little bit of Darth Vader stuff, like what's going on with Anakin. Like, I don't know. I didn't read the back of the book or anything before I read it, but just thinking it's coming right off Revenge of the Sith. Like it's gonna have the Empire, it's gonna the Emperor, it's gonna have Anakin, it's gonna have all this kind of stuff, like what happened with Padme's babies. But it kind of veered to the left a little bit and focused on these characters that we don't really see so much in
Yeah.
the end of that movie, which is fine because we have a lot of Darth Vader stuff out there right now.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
will say that I didn't even think about like when we got started. I was kind of maybe in the same place with you, but as the book got started, I never even thought about Vader. I thought
Yeah,
maybe the Emperor, but like I felt like it kept me going enough that I never even really thought like, oh, Vader should show up or something.
you're right. I never thought like, oh, he's coming around the corner. Like I
Yeah,
never once I was like 3 chapters in, was I completely forgot about it
yeah,
too.
you kind
So
of locked into those. What about you, Johnny? Like expectations for the book or the overall story to you? Was it what you thought you were going to get?
I still got yes and no. It went kind of places I wasn't quite expecting it to. I think it was kind of where you expect those three characters to start off, and you know, knowing where they end up, like as leaders of the rebellion and that kind of. So it is what you expect in the sense of it's them figuring out what the hell's going on and what to do. But you get a lot of kind of depth of their character and learn a bit about their history as well. And it really does take you by surprise how quickly they get the machine of the Empire up and running. Um, it's pretty recognizable almost straight away as the Empire as we know it. Which you see a little bit of in Bad Batch, I guess. When they're doing the same, they're trying to figure out what's going on, and you got all the stuff with chain codes and things like that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
yeah,
good. That's a good shout to the chain codes because I know that was part of that. Yeah, I can say that I had no clue. Again, I came into it kind of blind, so I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. Mon Mothma, Saw, and Bale are kind of the main characters. That's how they sell the book, and of course, we get some other stuff. But so yeah, I couldn't have had any expectations. So I didn't really even realize it was coming out at first. I'm just so focused on the High Republic lately, which that comes out tomorrow. So that's exciting.
Ah!
Yeah. So from this point on, we're gonna go full spoilers into the story, so everything's fair game. You can talk about anything you want, and let's talk about the story. So the concept is, we get there and they're trying to, of course, the Empire is taking over, and you guys can jump in here too. Like Bale and Mon are kind of at odds with Padme being gone. Some crazy stuff there. And what's the reintegration bill? They're bringing the Separatists back into the government. It's kind of like when the North and the South of the United States got reintegrated after our Civil War. The trials and tribulations of that real life stuff. I know Star Wars isn't political, but this book, again, I cannot make enough jokes about. Holy crap! Like Alexander Freed is like he's can see into the future or something. But so, and then what is the bill called? I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the bill she was trying to pass.
Oh yeah,
The reintegration
but yeah.
bill.
So that's the reintegration of the Separatists, and then she had was that what the bill was called too?
Oh,
The reintegration bill.
Yeah,
But anyway, so she has this bill. She basically wants,
yeah,
she wants to neuter
she's trying
the
to limit his
emperor.
power. Yeah,
She wants to make him basically like a kind of like a monarch, right? Like the king, like have power but not have any power, be kind of a figurehead.
yeah.
And this book, as a history teacher, like I love like all these tie-ins because you have like American history with you got bringing the North and South back together. You've got British history where you're trying to like take power away from the monarchy but keep them in place to keep them happy and figureheads and all that stuff. So I really thought that was really cleverly done, like tying all this history in there. And then of course so that's Mon's main focus, and then we have Bale who's running around trying to redeem the Jedi. So he's pretty upset about the fall of the Jedi, all the propaganda against them, and his whole mission is to basically shine light on the corruption. Now he's looking at the wrong places. Even we'll get to it, but he's kind of looking at the wrong places for it, but not knowing what really happened. But and then Saw Gerrera wants to blow things up. I feel like I don't really feel like he has like he's looking for weapons and he just wants to blow stuff up, like a Saw being Saw, I guess. So, so and that's a real obviously brief things about it. But what do you guys think about like what stood out to you in these stories? And again, a fair game. You can talk about any part of the book. We're not really going to jump around. We will dive into the characters specifically. We can kind of talk about them a little bit, but storyline wise, the parts that you really liked, didn't like, Johnny, what really stands out to you in this story, this first book in the series?
What I found really interesting was Mon Mothma and Bail Organa's relationship. I think we kind of think of them, they're both part of the rebellion and they're both on the same side. They have the same ideas. But then I think this book really dives into and shows how different they are. Mon Mothma's more, we know her as a pacifist, but also, she enjoys the politics and the almost the paperwork side of it, trying to bring sides together and put a bill together, as we see her doing this in this book. Whereas Bail Organa's a bit more of a orator who talks, probably a bit better at speeches and that kind of stuff. And you see the difference between the two. They don't agree on everything. They do by the end. Well, they don't agree, but they work together by the end of the book. Whereas at the beginning, they're a bit more at odds because they both got different aims at that point in time. By the end of the book, their kind of two aims come together because of the nature of the story, I guess. And also another thing I really liked about Mon Mothma's story is obviously we see a bit more of her and her husband Perrin, who we know from Andor. And at this point, although obviously it's an arranged marriage, they're much more kind of on the same side, a team. They might not be wildly in love or anything like that, but they are a team. Whereas, what is it, almost 15 years in the future or whatever in Andor, they're don't particularly like each other. It seems like.
No, they do
Um,
not. You
yeah.
see some of that starting whenever, because she doesn't call him right away. She's calling other
Mm,
people. She kind of
yeah.
may or may not have herself a little crush. So,
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And Saw Gerrera's part of the story is interesting because we don't really see it through his eyes, whereas the other two we do. We
mhm.
see Saw Gerrera purely through another character called Sujan, who's like a separatist assassin. But yeah, so I assume probably in the next book that we'll see more of things from Saw's point of view.
Mhm.
But like you said, Saw is kind of Saw.
Yeah,
He's kind of paranoid and distrustful, and for him, the war never ended because what he wanted was freedom for Onderon, and obviously now it's just being controlled by a different group of people, I guess.
yeah,
Um, so that's why he just sees it as a continuation kind of thing. Um, but yeah, kind of the politics of it, I really enjoyed. Kind of the espionage aspects. There's some other characters that I'm sure we'll probably mention. Haki, who's a public intelligence, now part of the ISB, I think.
mhm.
Um, so it's interesting how somebody goes from that into the Empire, and are they okay with it? And seeing like you said in the quote from Alexander Freed about showing what it's like for ordinary people as well, because we see some of the people that surround like the main three characters who are just living in the galaxy doing their jobs. We spend a lot of time on Coruscant as well, so there's a lot of
Mhm.
about what the people there are making of it and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, this book does a great job, and we get to travel a little bit in it with Bale and Saw, Sujin. I mean, I guess even Hockey as well, and then we get a lot of Coruscant in it too. So people who want to see that, Taylor, what did you think about the story? What parts really like kind of popped for you? I mean, I know you like the political side of things, so that you must have been eating this up.
Yeah, well, I found it super relatable to just our world right now, without saying too much. But even just where Sujan meets the people in the bar, and they're just drinking, having a good time, and they're like, "We don't want any trouble." And he's like, "Well, what did you during the war? What did you do during the war?" And they're like, we worked, we survived, we didn't do anything, we weren't a part of it." And that's us, right? Like we're having a Star Wars podcast when one part of the
Yeah.
world is probably falling apart, whatever. So it's relatable in that way.
Mm.
Um, and the part where Hockey is so ignorant towards like the Republic turning into the Empire, like, oh, the same thing, the same people. No, no, actually, you should be retired, lady.
Yeah. Not just
But I think favorite part my favorite part to hate was closer to the beginning of the book, where Mon goes off about how when she was detained after
Oh
the vote of
yeah.
2000. And I am claustrophobic. When I was a
Mm.
kid, my brother accidentally dumped a whole like snow igloo on me. Yes, I live in Canada. And my parents had to dig me out, and it was so scary, like
Oh
so
yeah.
claustrophobic. So when she's talking about how she's stuck in this closet that is too narrow to be able to sit down in, and it's completely dark, and she is in there for what, like 30 something hours, so she's like,
Yeah.
unfortunately she has like peed herself probably like 6 times, like, oh my god, this is horrifying. And I actually had a horrible dream that night because it was so
Oh
scary. If
yeah.
you think about it, that's so scary. Like you don't know if somebody's coming back, like she's in there. So that part really like freaked me out, like really scary. And it related to me like how Andor is like really scary, right?
Yeah.
um but one thing that I really liked, I could really relate where Mon checks to see if she took her anxiety medication because she's having a panic attack. I'm like, ha! I can relate to that so much. um, but but then it felt like they were always bringing up her anxiety medication, so I was like, this is a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there was a lot of good things that I liked in the book. A lot of stuff where I like had to rewind, and because I listened to the audiobook, I to be honest, I usually have the book, as you can see, and I listen to
Mhm.
audiobooks, but this one is just so long and I wanted to get it done, and I just have been really busy at work, so
Yeah.
I rewound it a few times to re-listen to some stuff because I just very much enjoyed the side of things that we don't usually hear about, which
Yeah.
was the background stuff. It was good.
Yeah, I was surprised by it. I was surprised by the lack of like, I guess when you guys talked about it a little bit, like not a lot of the, I mean, Palpatine and stuff, like nothing really from that side of things until the very, very end. Obviously, we get to
Yeah.
see, was it Masamita, right? Is that who we talked?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Mhm, mhm.
And he's
um,
like, all your hard work is for nothing. We've already
yeah,
planned for this. Like, you horn devil. Like,
yeah, it makes you, um, yeah, for sure. I love the politics. I love the, was it Rio de Jorts, that whole idea. There's just a lot, really Star Warsy book. He was just able to really just kind of captivate. Again, a lot of real world stuff, unfortunately. Um,
yeah.
but with that I mean, it was a lot like reading an Andor book.
Yeah.
With just a story that could
Mhm.
be set anywhere, just happened to be plopped down in Star Wars, which we're thankful for with these characters. And I really liked how much I don't like it. I really loved how they stressed how much Mon and Bale relied on Padme. I thought that was really important. He doesn't beat you over the head with it, but like there's certain points where they realize that like we really miss Padme. Like what a loss for the galaxy she was, in this whole time period. And it kind of makes you think like what would have happened had she survived, I mean, of course, there's a whole what if right there if she survives with the kids and all that craziness. But um, you know, I like the fact that they didn't shy away from the fact that she was gone. And they didn't shy away from the fact that she was really the leader in this group and a leader in the Senate. And I kind of enjoyed that part of it more than I thought about it as you guys were talking. Like that's what popped into my head, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Because when I was listening to it and reading it, I was like, "Oh, that's nice," but it didn't really resonate with me as much. But I think that that was kind of a neat like to pay homage to her, I guess, the way they did. I felt like he did a really good job of slipping things in and out of this book that, with just the ISB and making us hate them, and
Yeah.
just a lot of little
Mhm.
things, and lots of things that we as fans, I mean, we consume this stuff obviously, and we got all this stuff from Rebels and from Clone Wars and from TV shows and movies that we can, all the books that we've read. You see these sprinklings of it, and just more of it added into it. So I really enjoyed that. I'm really looking forward to the continuation of this story. But um, anything that didn't work for you guys? Like, there's any part that you're just like, yeah, I didn't personally have anything. Like, I kind of wonder, like, with the way things end for certain characters, which we'll talk. We're gonna go into characters next, but the way things end for certain characters, I'm kind of like, that's just a plot, to move the plot forward. But there's no part in the book that was like, well, that was dumb. For me, I thought some of the espionage stuff was really cool. Was there anything that didn't work for you guys? Like anything
Yeah.
that just was like,
Actually,
oh, what is it?
there was a couple things. I think I messaged you and I was like, oh my God, they're talking about visas and toilets.
Oh, yeah,
What's
yeah,
going
yeah,
on here?
yeah.
So,
You didn't like that real world, like
no.
the terminology, right?
Yeah, I want an evac room, okay? And I want like like a credits chip or something. Come on,
All right,
fix the
all right, all right.
terminology.
You need to reach out to Pablo Hidalgo and fix and get that squared away, Taylor.
Come on, man. Come
Yeah.
on.
All right.
But seriously though, I wasn't really a fan of the whole like Chemish and hockey storyline. I don't know if I just wasn't connecting to it there. Like I know her brother was like also a spy, and we're trying to figure out
Hamish.
where the brother is. And then I was like, "Is Sujen the brother?" It's like, no, 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 no. Like, where do
Yeah.
they fit in here? And yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't really a fan of the hockey character and how she's old but still is able to blast a trooper from like 2 miles away. Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
It
Her character
was
didn't get me so much.
yeah, I can see that though. I can see like was she really needed kind of thing, like her
Yeah.
or uh Chemish. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. Anything not work for you, Johnny? Like anything that you just kind of like, well, I don't know why this is in the book.
Um, Not that springs to mind. Not something that didn't work, but something that left me unsatisfied, I guess. And that was near the end. Was it when Mon Mothma was trying to get to Sujan?
Mm.
Um,
Oh yeah, we talked about this
she's
off
being
air.
chased
Yeah.
by a group called the group called the 440s or 4040s,
The floating
who are
planes.
like a pro empire group, pro emperor group, and Chemish in a junkyard. Chemish saves Mon Mothma so she can get away. And Chemish earlier in the book kind of blamed Mon Mothma for her sister's death. But she makes a decision to save Mon Mothma. And then somebody comes in and saves Chemish, the owner of the junkyard. But that person feels like it was meant to be something more. And then it's never mentioned again. And
Mm-hmm.
because they basically say in just a couple of sentences to Chemish, I think, that sum up exactly what had gone on and said, that the Emperor framed the Jedi, and that he'd been in charge of the Separatists all along. It's like, how does this person know these things? They're never named. And I was like, well, we're going to find out before the end of the book, and then we don't. And I was like, could it be Dexter, Dexter
Oh.
Jetster, or even Luthen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what.
But yeah, I was just like, really, this person seems to know everything, and then they're just never mentioned again, and I found that really odd.
Yeah.
Who
That
knows?
was.
Maybe it will come back in some way, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Because we you and I talked about that. Like we both thought it was Dex. Like we just kind of for whatever
Yeah.
reason, and like you said, like he basically knows exactly what's going on. I mean, I think maybe they come back later on. I mean, maybe it's Luthen. I mean, I don't know. Like, what does he go from a junkyard to an antique dealer? Like, who knows? But yeah, I that was a weird part. It was really just out of nowhere. I guess. I mean, that can happen. I guess, but yeah, it didn't really. I guess it didn't really kind of fit the rest of the book and stuff like that. But yeah, but overall, it sounds like we all really enjoyed this. And let's kind of talk a little bit about the characters. We got our three main characters: Mon Mothma, Saw Gerrera, and Bail. And my biggest thing with Mon Mothma is what she does at the end of the book with Sujin. Because like I think Taylor, you said it a little bit earlier, just like seeing some of them, you get to see. I mean, we get to see Bail talk to her for like 5 seconds in Rogue One, and I don't know about you guys, but I just assume they're besties. Like, oh, is
Yeah.
your friend? You got that vibe, and they're at odds with one another. They both have different callings. I mean, that's politics. But how did you feel about those two? What she does, in the end, because I mean, she's got blood in her hands now, so she, like K2SO, you're a rebel now. Like after Odie shoots the Imperials. But what did you think about what she does to get what she wants and where she's headed?
I think it was just kind of she was put into an impossible situation, as we've seen her in the past be. She's been referred to as a pacifist, and she is ultimately. But I think in the situation she found herself in, where Sujen was on his way to try and assassinate the Emperor, that ultimately it would have harmed the galaxy more to let him live and try that, because then it would have given the Empire more of an excuse to crack down on them, which is ultimately the opposite of what Luthen does in Andor, because he talks about making things worse so that people stand up more.
Yeah. We were just talking about that on the show, where we think the Gorman Massacre might not be maybe more rebel driven than what we think. It's a little scary. So for sure. What about you, Taylor?
Mon Mothma. I mean, I know she's trying to be strategic, and she's trying to be brave, but I don't know. She's just I feel like she's so stressed constantly. Like how is she going to make it the next 15 years like being this stressed? Like I just it's a bit freaky. But I actually didn't really think about I was like confused as to why she stopped Sujin, but actually that makes a lot of sense that it would have just started things up again, I guess. Um but Bale's acts are so I don't want to say childish, but very like immature. Like he's like, "We got a new baby at home, Brea. See ya." Like you're like, if I was Brea, I'd be grabbing that diaper bag, like, beat, like you freaking, you stay home. Like what's wrong with you? And he's like, and then you find out that he's actually gone for like probably 3 weeks at least. She hasn't seen
Yeah.
him, heard from him. They don't just have phones; they can text each other. So he's just gone, and they've got a brand new baby at home, and he's like doesn't even tell Brea what he's like really up to, like she knows that he's up to something, but he's just off on this like I gotta get proof and I gotta like the Jedi must like I don't know, it was very unplanned. He wasn't thinking as everything as a whole, and like when Mon Mothma's like, "What have you done now, Bale? You're gonna get us all in trouble," kind of deal. Like I'm like, yeah, I hear you. He's just diving headfirst right into something, trusting some lady that he has no idea who she is, and she just says stuff. Like I don't know, it's questionable, very questionable. All of his
Yeah.
actions.
You feel he's
Yeah, I think he. Yeah, sorry,
no. Go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead.
I think you find out he's a lot more of an emotional person and quite like bullheaded, and he'll charge in like a bull in a china shop. He'll tell
Mhm.
you his opinions, whereas Mon Mothma, even though she may well have those stronger opinions, she's always somebody that will keep a mask on and keep it calm and just like play the more political game kind of thing,
Yeah.
play the long game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, which I think is something maybe we'll see in the future books, that like Bale will have to learn to do that himself a bit more.
Yeah,
Agree.
I liked how they made them both kind of opposites of each other. Where even she says it like, um, everyone likes him, but she's the leader. They go, you know what I mean? Like he's like this. She's not the people person that he is. He's able to schmooze people and talk to them and have a conversation and change someone's mind without them even realizing it. And they know like they can see it coming from a mile away with her. I like how they've kind of put them having them both have these bigger weaknesses, and they're kind of like basically driving them together towards not in a romantic way, but in a way to like form the rebellion and stuff like that. Like, and I think that's kind of I thought that was kind of cool the way they wrote that in there. And we don't get to see much of them. Or I'm assuming we're gonna get to see more of Mon Mothma in Andor season 2 here, but up until this point, we really have we didn't really know what they were like, so it's kind of exciting to see, and then how they kind of play off of each other. And I'll be curious too, because we have seen the relationship between Saw and the rebellion, and we've seen that in Rebels. I think we've seen it in Clone Wars. We're probably going to see in Andor. How do you think he fits in, and what did you think of his storyline? Like I said, I just felt like he was kind of there because they needed him because he's an important character later, but I don't know. He just wanted to blow things up really. So what do you guys think about that, and how the book ends really with those three?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. With like Sword, I just felt like he was there. I don't feel like I learned a lot more about him at all. He was kind of the person we already knew. Hopefully that changes in the other books. One thing that I did really like, and I forgot to mention before, was right at the end we get like one chapter where all three are in the same room talking, and they kind of come to not an agreement, but like they understand each other. They don't necessarily agree, but they all understand what each other's doing now, and so maybe they'll help each other in future.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
yeah. I like that aspect of it too. What about you, Taylor?
um Yeah, I guess you're right. We didn't really learn anything new about Saw, and he was just kind of practicing his monologues the whole time. I feel like he's always working on his monologuing.
Got to recruit the
Um,
partisans.
Yeah, right. And then even when I think it was Bale was like, we helped you guys in the war. Like we helped
Yeah,
Onderon. He's like, no, you didn't. You just didn't want to get your hands dirty. And it's like, way to turn it around. Like, my God, with you guys that didn't want any help because you wanted to be your own people and you
yeah.
still took our help. So, blah. So I don't know. He can turn things around so much. He didn't even mention his sister. I mean,
I
I
know.
guess
I
we
was
don't.
kind of waiting for a Steela like a mention
Yeah.
or something, but yeah, they didn't really do a character deep dive on him, right? And the Johnny, you were right when most of it's through like Sujin and through Bale's eyes was what we got more of Saw. So yeah, I was a little
Mhm.
disappointed that we didn't get any. Is there character development there though? Like, does he have Jin at this point? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where are we? I'm excited for that aspect, like the future of Saw in
Mm.
these books. I think it'll be really interesting because we could get that, you know, a little bit later
Mm.
on. We could get some of that stuff coming down the line. But
Yeah.
I was, yeah, I was a little disappointed in that aspect. I mean, it was fun. I mean, I think that's most of the action stuff and kind of what he was in there for. But um, I do think it's setting some stuff up for later on. But I did like come to find out that he was actually going to be given the governorship over Onderon at one point. Like they had considered him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
can you imagine that mess would have been like giving him Onderon? He would have gotten what he wanted, though, kind of, or would he have been happy enough? You know, would he have? You know, that just shows like his erratic behavior, and you know, he could have done so much more as the governor of Onderon or the king or whatever they would have made him. I think it was a king in the Clone Wars, um,
Yeah.
and then they could have. I mean, he could have rallied a whole planet against the Empire if he wanted to, you know. But that caught me off guard. Like, oh yeah, they're gonna have give him a governorship or something. I was like, that is insane. But whatever. Um, and then there's yeah. So yeah, I mean, I do like the character study on Mon and Bale. Saw, you know, he likes to blow things up. He liked to blow things up, and I'm sure he'll continue to want to blow things up in books 2 and 3 and or season 2. Hockey, Sujin Vaknalis. I just like saying his full name. It's so cool. Sujin Vaknalis.
Yeah.
And then Plymouth. What did we think of these? These characters, if you haven't read the book, these characters like they kind of drive the story forward. They all I don't know if hockey was really hockey or Chemish. I don't think were necessary. I mean, even Sujin, honestly. I guess other than helping Bale. What did you guys think of these characters? I like Sujin. I liked his story. I liked his rage. I assumed that it wasn't going to end well for him because of his. I mean, he was angry. His people were gone. You know, kind of just the story of that war and story of actual
Yeah.
war. Your people were wiped out, and he's angry. He's basically an assassin for the separatists, all modded out. And
Yeah. He
so, what
was
did
a
we think?
painter.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing is he's gone from this painting like beautiful culture, and then he's just a war machine now. Like it just could not have meant much more of a change. But what did you guys think of those three characters? And positives, negatives, pros, cons with them. Were they needed? I feel like the story could have. I feel like you probably could have written the story without him personally. I think maybe Sojin was a little bit more important. But what do you guys think of those three? Because they were really like the next main focus behind our big three.
I thought Sujin was cool, like the idea of like this is Star Wars. Of course, we're gonna have people that are like half cyborgs, right? But just how they like described his like how he has like dots around his eyes and like weird stuff like this. It just makes me like it's making me picture him as like one of the guys from like the Avatar movie, like the big blue guys. But I know he's not looking. I know he doesn't look like that. But it's just easy to picture him looking like that. Just different. But he's like running through the streets of Coruscant and he gets away. It's like really. I don't know, right this moment when the Empire is really like just breaking open the doors, like even Mon saying like, "Oh, I'm noticing a lot more human people walking around in the Senate. Like it's all humans now. Where did all the aliens go?" Um, so he should have been easier to find. I feel like, but I liked how he like got the urge to like do some like mating call with his throat or whatever when he was just hanging out with that girl for like 20 minutes. So
Oh yeah,
that was interesting. But then I thought about it later and none of the tribes ever mentioned females. They were always just males and
they talk
like
about their
my
fathers.
oldest father. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's like is are they all just male? So it's like how do they what? So,
yeah.
but my
Some
yeah, his
unanswered
throat
questions
would
there.
open and he would sing, but his implants made it so he couldn't sing anymore. I was like, okay, is this guy like a frog dude? So, but anyways, I liked his character. I did. Um, but but like I said before, I wasn't a huge fan of Hockey or Chemish just because they didn't really excite me. They didn't impress me. Like I have nothing against Chemish not having like just being a they them. Like I have nothing against that. Just there's nothing exciting about the character other than they can climb.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's just my opinion though.
yeah, just some anger and did they need that character? Because I know Johnny, you talked about it. Like they just kind of flip flop between things. They try to report on the 4040s. They are mad at Mon Mothma. Then it all flips, and just on a whim, everything just goes the opposite way of what it should have gone. And I mean, I guess there were reasons. I don't know if I bought into the reason as much. But what do you think about them?
Um, I like Chemish. She could have been, I think, maybe padded out a bit more in terms of her character, but yeah, she was. Zuna was like their sibling, I think, that
Mm-hmm.
died in
Zuna.
an attack on Mon Mothma's office, right, or home. So she blames Mothma for that because, like, her politics maybe or whatever. But and Hackey's recruited her to be an apprentice, so she's infiltrated the 440s, and I kind of felt like she was she saw some of the appeal of the 440s, but then thought, but also thought they were too extreme, and I think that's ultimately why she saved Mon Mothma. Um, Hackey, I kind of really wanted her to see through the Empire and
Yeah, me too.
like turn.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at times it felt like she could be on like the cusp of that, but I think she thought that the ISB, or rather the Empire, was just the best. She didn't think they were good. She thought they were the best chance of there not being more war, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why she was stuck by the ISB. Um, Sujen, I thought was really interesting because it's a rare point of view from like the separatists, like an ordinary person under the separatists as well, not somebody, because the separatists we've either seen as being, the droid army or these rich politicians and people like Dooku and the banking clan and that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, so to see an ordinary person and why they bought into the separatist cause, and yeah, just his desire to take revenge on for like losing the war as such, was really interesting. Um, yeah, so I enjoyed Sujin the most probably out of the three, like you, same as you guys, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And of course, all the storylines kind of mix together and they bring it all together towards the end. I enjoyed it. Overall, thumbs up for the book. Is it a must read? Is it a put it on your list? Is it a don't bother for you guys? Like if you're telling somebody, it's like, into Star Wars reading. I mean, not a lot of people read as much as we do, I don't think, but Star Wars fans. But is this a must read? Is this a put it on your list, read it later? Or what do you guys think overall? I feel like it's in between the High Republic books coming out, it's like a must read. But if there was a High Republic book, I would want to read that first for me. But I'm invested. Like I think we're all invested in that. But what do you guys think, Taylor?
Well, yeah, I have tried to gift so many people High Republic books so that maybe they can start reading them with me, and I'm like, please do it. But this book, I probably wouldn't do the same unless you're like super hardcore or you really like Andor, because I like a book where I can sit down and read it and like I'm really immersed in it. Like I can practically smell the planet as they're walking. I can hear the
Mm.
crunching. Like I get so into it. I love it. Whereas this one I was just like, okay, okay, more Mon Mothma anxiety. Okay. And then it's so I think I think it's more of a holdout because I think the next two books are gonna make it a lot better.
Yeah.
So not a must read for me, but if you're hardcore into Star Wars or if you really like Andor, then I would say you'd probably enjoy it a lot.
All right. Yeah, I think that's probably, I would agree with you there. What about you, Johnny? Is it a must read for the Starbird Files?
I think it, for me personally, yes, but for everybody else, I think it depends what interests you in Star Wars. If you want Jedi, then obviously the book isn't for you because there's not a Jedi to be seen.
Definitely not.
But if you're into like
Definitely
the
not.
rebellion and the Empire and how the rebellion gets born and like espionage and spy stuff and the politics of Star Wars, then there's a lot of stuff for you there. So I would recommend it to anybody that likes that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. Do we have any expectations for books 2 and 3? Like, are we looking forward? Is there anything that you want to see, you think we're going to see, and are you excited for? And then we'll kind of wrap it up from there.
Well, you got me all excited thinking we're gonna see young Jin now.
But
So that could be super
it would
exciting.
fit the timeline, right? I mean, because right now, like, he seemed like he only had 5 or 6 partisans with them. I don't know if he had more someplace else, but towards the end of the book,
Yeah.
he doesn't have a big crew.
Yeah,
So
like he doesn't have two tubes or anybody
is he
like
get,
that that we
yeah,
actually
is he going
know, right?
to build up his crew from Andor? I mean, he's got 15 years or so to get there. So
Yeah. And you're right. This could be like if he happens to find Jin or the whole Jin story happens, it might like bring out Saw's character a lot more and we might be able to see his side of it. So, I mean,
it
we
would be
might have
cool.
just nailed hammered the nail on the head right there. But I'd be super into reading about that. Um, I guess Sujen's story is gone now. I kind of
Yeah.
want to hear about what happened to Chemish's brother.
Hemish. Yeah, Hemish.
And we're gonna find out that Mon's pregnant, right? From her last
Oh,
excitement of what was the last like chapter, if not the one of the last two chapters. I don't know what brought Mon to be intimate with her own husband, but something did today. It's like, oh my god. It's like because you had to make the kid that we're gonna see in Andor. That's why.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was a bit confused by the timeline at first because if you guys listen to stuff that I'm on, I always get confused by the timeline. But I was like, what? No kids? Oh, and then I realized that it's super
Mhm.
early and that's like a little bit down the road.
It'd
So
be about right though, right? Like if they
Mhm.
did this now, she got pregnant now, like that girl would be the right age by the time Andor started. So I think you're
yeah.
right. It's
Mhm.
something that I don't know that they necessarily needed to throw it in there, um, but yeah, you're right. It
We
makes
got
sense
it.
for the timeline. Yeah, yeah. We so. What about you, Johnny? What are you thinking for books 2 and 3?
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I think, especially once Andor season 2's over, the second and third book could really lean into and connect with it, with the Andor series in a lot of ways. I really hope Lucen shows up at some point. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm sure there's a whole lot of other characters that could show up as well. So yeah, I'd be interested to see if Chemish comes back. I think she was left alive, or they were left alive, and so no reason why they couldn't come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think it'd be cool to get a young Jin, Saw building up his partisan crowd. That would be cool. And I think too, I don't know how far into the writing, if the book's done already and it's being edited or whatever, but like after season 2 of Andor is over, there's a lot that should. I guess maybe that'd be more book 3 though, because we'd be getting closer to it. I don't know how long that
Yeah.
what the time jump's going to be for books. But yeah, I would love to see the start of Luthen, how he and Mon met, and if we don't see a flashback or and more Saw, and just a lot of like you said, a lot of the Andor stuff kind of getting built. And I'd also like to see a little bit more of the politics from the side of the Empire. Get Mas Amedda and is it Sly Moore or whatever, like what they're doing, what they're driving, how they're fighting back, kind of stuff. I think that would be kind of interesting. I don't know if we're going to get that or not. Maybe we get a different set of books that's like their point of view. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like this book way more than I thought I was going to. And then I'm looking forward to. I mean, we got to wait a year, but kind of like the what is it? The Aftermath series, one book a year, which is always crazy. And I would have been concerned for different authors, but like Johnny, like you said, and the High Republic shows that with Michael Siglin running things, that this will be well controlled. It'll flow perfect. It'll flow beautifully, and I'm pretty excited for it. So, what are your guys' final closing thoughts on the book? Anything else to add before we get out of here?
Trying to think. I really enjoyed it, especially as like a palate cleanser between the High Republic. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the High Republic, but it's nice to take a break from it. It can be intense, So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and so if you're not reading the High Republic, especially, there's not many other books coming out other than High Republic books for a little bit. But so yeah, go give it a shot, man.
All right. Yeah. Taylor, anything else?
I think the book is it's really like real worldly. Unlike, I don't know, like with the Mace Windu book, I enjoyed it, but it's not a book that I'm probably gonna go back to. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in that book, whereas this one's just closer to like the real world struggles that we're literally dealing with right now. I'm not sure how it is over there for you, Johnny, but Jimmy and I are in for it right now.
Yeah, our countries don't like each other right now. Well, the leaders of our country. Yeah.
Oh, well, I still like you guys. So.
Yeah. You guys as well. Maybe we can show the world how to do it. We got the UK, America, and Canada all getting along. Look at us.
Look at us. We're all besties. It's fine.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I want to thank you both for coming on. Johnny, tell everybody where they can find you, and then we'll go with you, Taylor.
At Starbird Files on Instagram. That's basically it.
All right. Taylor?
Yeah, I'm just Commander_Taylor on Instagram. And I guess I have a TikTok account and stuff that's all linked to it, but I don't do a whole lot of posting on there. So Instagram.
Right, well,
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. I love talking the books with you guys. Hopefully maybe we can get together. We are getting close to the end of the High Republic, so I'm sure we'll get back together. Maybe we'll bring Megan, and we'll do a little counseling when that's all over. But I just want to say thanks, you guys, and hopefully, these other books continue to keep up the pace. But for all of us, we have spoken. We'll see you guys. Well, I don't know when we'll see you guys next. So, cheers.
Hopefully soon.